Hi there. I'm Dr. Ina, and I've been in holistic health for almost 40 years. But today I'm not coming to you as a doctor. I'm coming to you as somebody who has been going through a cancer journey for the past almost 7 years. I decided that it might be important for me to share my journey to hopefully inspire you or someone you know to maybe give some hope and some inspiration to, really let others know that you're not walking this path alone. And I totally understand where you're coming from. So I want to share from my heart without any filters, just the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And I'd like to start from the beginning. So, back in 2019, actually August of 2019, my mom passed away from a pretty harsh journey dealing with metastatic breast cancer. It was rather horrific. Watching a loved one go through that process is horrible. And I know many people can relate to that. She died in August, and then 3 months later, my husband and I, and one of our three kids, along with his girlfriend, were planning a trip to Mexico. And the night before we were leaving, I was in the closet packing, which, by the way, packing is one of my least favorite things to do. I love to go on a trip. I hate packing. I also hate unpacking, but packing for me is like, oh. Anyway, I'm in the closet. We have a very early flight the next morning. It was basically flying out at the crack of dawn. So we had to be up and out really early. And I'm in the closet trying to figure out what I'm going to bring on this trip. And something made me take my left hand and put it under my right armpit, and I felt this lemon-sized lump in my armpit. To this day, I believe it was my mother. I believe that my mother was wanting me to realize that I had something going on in my body, because that is something I would never normally do. I don't put my hands in my armpits. So I felt this very big lump, and it totally freaked me out, caught me off guard. I called Glenn into the closet. I had him feel the lump. And knowing that we were not going to cancel the trip, we didn't know what this was. There was nothing we could do in the moment. And maybe it was nothing serious. So we decided, we were going to continue on. And so I packed up and we left the next morning for Mexico. While I was in Mexico, I did my best to put the fear behind me, the worry, the concern about what this was or wasn't. And I made the best of it, and we had a great time overall. I also called, we were living in New Jersey at the time. I called a local doctor to get in as soon as I got home. So we got back on a Sunday. Monday, I had my appointment with this local doctor. And obviously, when you just feel a lump, you don't know what's causing it. So she ordered a bunch of tests. 1 week after that, I got a call from her. It was the Monday before Thanksgiving. And I remember clearly, I was laying on the bed. My cell phone rang. I saw it was her number that came up. And she told me that basically I had a diagnosis that they needed to explore further, to stage it, to grade it. But she told me I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And for those of you who don't know what non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is, it's basically cancer of the lymphatic system. In the world of lymphomas, there's dozens of different types of lymphoma. The type that I had was known as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma as opposed to Hodgkin's lymphoma, but within non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, there's all kinds of other types. So at that point, we didn't know what type, we didn't know much about it, other than it was clear that I did have a cancer diagnosis. Now, what I want to share with you in that moment, as I said, I've been in holistic health as a practitioner for almost 40 years. So going back almost 7 years ago, it was 30 plus years. And I always would pride myself on the fact that I took really good care of my health. I ate a very healthy, clean diet, mostly organic foods. I exercised on a regular basis. I was always a very positive minded person. I did all the things that I could to protect my health. And the first thing that I thought of is, wow, the joke is on me. I have so many friends, so many family members that just don't do all the things. And I have no judgment about that. But I just thought in that moment, like, does any of that matter? Now, I always told my patients while I was in clinical practice, nobody's exempt from anything. You know, we're living in a very toxic world. There's a lot of influences. There's stress overload. There's genetic influences. There's lifestyle habits. But the toxicity that we're all dealing with plays a big role in why cancer is so prevalent, whether it's the toxins in our food, in our air, in our water, 5G, and all the EMFs that we're being exposed to. All of it is having an impact. But I guess I never really thought that it would be me. So there I was, faberglassed, what's the word? I'm like drawing a blank on the word. Flabbergasted, flabbergasted, um, completely shocked, completely like blown away, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was, you know, do you remember Charlie Brown's Teacher? Like everything kind of went wah, 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 wah. I felt like I was not in my body. I felt like I was just, I can't even explain it. The chemicals that rush through. It's in that moment, you know, when you hear that you have cancer or a loved one has cancer, we're so programmed in this world, in our society, to think the worst, to be so confronted with your own mortality. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die young. It's going to be painful. Am I going to need to go for chemo? Like all of these things like coming up and just overwhelming my mind. And so I got off the phone. I shared the news with Glenn. I was devastated, just beyond. If you've been there, you know. So, of course, you know, now it's okay, now I got to find an oncologist. I didn't know any good oncologists. My mother's journey, her experience was nothing that I wanted to go through myself. It was not good. She was misguided. That's a whole long story. But I really didn't know where to begin. And so the Monday that we found out the news was the week of Thanksgiving, my absolute favorite holiday. I love Thanksgiving. I love what it stands for. I used to love all the food at Thanksgiving. But this was going to be the first Thanksgiving without my mom, the first Thanksgiving, my dad as a widower, being married for almost 60 years, the first Thanksgiving with my kids without their grandmother. My mother was the glue in our family. She was the life of the party. She was just a big presence. And knowing that she wasn't going to be there at the holiday table, and somehow I was going to have to share this news with my family. So it was a lot, to say the least. It was a lot of emotions. It was a lot of fear. It was a devastation. You know, I just felt devastated. I felt betrayed by my own body. There were so many feelings. Now, I will continue to share what happens next? Well, what did we end up doing and all of that? At that moment, we really just had to trust the process. I had to do my best to surrender, to know in my heart that I would be guided divinely, that I would find the right doctors, find the right protocols. But it's the unknown that's so scary, and it's the lack of control for many of us. I can be honest and say, yeah, I'm somewhat of a control freak, and all of a sudden I had no control over this situation. So there was a lot going on emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and certainly physically, although I didn't have any symptoms other than this big lump in my armpit. So I'll continue to share more of the journey, but I want for now just for you to understand that I know what it feels like to be afraid, to hear those words, to have to share with the people that love you so much, to just navigate through this experience. And as I said before, I want to share with you the good, the bad, the ugly, but hopefully to inspire, hopefully to provide hope for some of you, and to know that you're not doing this alone. We're all in this crazy life together, in this world together. But for those of us who are navigating a cancer journey, and particularly a holistic cancer journey, I'd like to just be a support and a guide for you. So I will continue sharing the rest of the long story in future episodes. So thank you so much for tuning in. Bye for now.